And the Lord said to Ananda, Ananda, it may be that you will think, the teacher's instruction has ceased. Now we have no teacher. It should not be seen like this. Ananda, for what I have taught and explained to you as Dhamma and Vinaya will at my passing be your teacher. And whereas the monks are in the habit of addressing one another as avuso or friend, this custom is to be abrogated or cancelled after my passing. Senior monks shall address more junior monks by their name, their clan, or as avuso, friend, whereas more junior monks are to address their seniors either as Bante or as Venerable Sir. Let me see, what is 448 and 449? 448 is Bante, 449 is Ayasma. So these are the two terms of respect. If they wish, the order may abolish the minor rules after my passing. After my passing, the monk Chana is to receive the Brahma Danda, Brahma penalty. And remember Ananda asked, but Lord, what is the Brahma penalty? Whatever the monk Chana wants or says, he is not to be spoken to, admonished or instructed by the monks. Then the Lord addressed the monks, saying, it may be, monks, that some monk has doubts or uncertainty about the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, or about the path, or about the practice. Ask, monks, do not afterwards feel remorse, thinking, the teacher was there before us, and we failed to ask the teacher, the Lord, face to face. At these words the monks were silent. The Lord repeated his words a second and a third time, and still the monks were silent. Then the Lord said, perhaps, monks, you do not ask out of respect for the teacher. Then, monks, let one friend tell it to another. But still they were silent. And the Venerable Ananda said, it is wonderful, Lord, it is marvelous. I clearly perceive that in this assembly there is not one monk who has doubts or uncertainty. And the Buddha said, you, Ananda, speak from faith. But the Tathagata knows that in this assembly there is not one monk who has doubts or uncertainty about the Buddha, Dhamma or Sangha, or about the path or the practice. Ananda, at least one of these 500 monks, the least one of these 500 monks is a stream winner, incapable of falling into states of woe, certain of Nibbana. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is saying that all the 500 monks are Aryas. You see, the Buddha left 4 instructions as he was about to pass away. The first one, the Buddha said, what I have taught and explained to you as Dhamma and Vinaya, in other words, Suttas and the Vinaya books, will at my passing be your teacher. So now that the Buddha is not with us, our real teacher is the Suttas and the Vinaya. But the Vinaya is only for monks, since now we don't have nuns. So the Suttas will be the teacher for everyone. So we have to remember this, instead of a lot of people running around looking for a teacher here and there. And the second one, that after the Buddha passed away, a senior monk can address a junior monk by his name or avuso or clan. But the junior monks must address the senior monks as Bante or Ayasma. Then thirdly, the Sangha may abolish the minor rules. Minor rules, generally, the how do you say, the gross the major rules, you can say the major rules are of 2 classes. One is Parajika, one is Sanghadisesa. Parajika, there are 4 precepts under Parajika. If a monk breaks any one of the 4 precepts, he's automatically no more a monk, even though he wears the robe. And second class, Sanghadisesa, if a monk breaks one of the precepts, of the 13 precepts under Sanghadisesa, then he's half out of monkhood, halfway out of monkhood, and he has to confess and undergo the penance, and it takes 20 months to reinstate him. So these two are serious precepts or rules. Then the rest are generally considered as minor. The rest is generally considered minor. But the Buddha here did not say which minor rules can be abolished by the Sangha for a very good reason. The Buddha generally does not want the Sangha to abolish any minor rule unless it is necessary, unless the Sangha considers necessary. So it is up to the Sangha to decide. So for example, in Asian countries, monks go on arms round, barefoot. That is a general practice. But if in Germany or Switzerland or UK, you go on arms round barefoot, you won't be able to stand it. So the Sangha decides they can wear shoes and go pindabat. Or in Asia, it's generally enough for a monk to sleep with one set of robes, and if necessary, maybe a sleeping bag or a blanket. But in the Europe, where it's very cold during the winter, the monks will have to wear long john and sweater and all this when they sleep. Since it's necessary, so these are modified. These rules are modified where it's necessary. So the Buddha purposely did not say so that it is up to the Sangha to decide. Only when it's necessary. And then the fourth one, the Buddha said, you have to take action against this Chana. Chana is a monk who has been very stubborn. He has never listened to advice. So the Buddha told the monks not to speak to him. Then later, after the monks stopped speaking to him, then he realized. Then he changed his ways. So these are the four instructions left by the Buddha. Then the Lord said to the monks, "Now monks, I declare to you, all conditioned things are of a nature to decay. Strive on untiringly." These were the Tathagata's last words. Then the Lord entered the first jhana, and leaving that he entered the second, third and fourth jhana. Then leaving the fourth jhana, he entered the sphere of infinite space, then the sphere of infinite consciousness, then the sphere of nothingness, then the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. And leaving that, he attained the cessation of feeling and perception. Then the Venerable Ananda said to the Venerable Anuruddha, "Venerable Anuruddha, the Lord has passed away." And Venerable Anuruddha said, "No, friend Ananda, the Lord has not passed away. He has attained the cessation of feeling and perception." Then the Lord, leaving the attainment of the cessation of feeling and perception, entered the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. And from that he entered the sphere of nothingness, the sphere of infinite consciousness, the sphere of infinite space. From the sphere of infinite space he entered the fourth jhana. From there the third, second and first jhana. Leaving the first jhana he entered the second, the third and the fourth jhana. After leaving the fourth jhana, the Lord finally passed away. And at the Blessed Lord's final passing, there was a great earthquake, terrible and hair-raising, accompanied by thunder. And Brahma Sahampati uttered this verse, "All beings in the world, all bodies must break up. Even the teacher, peerless in the human world, the mighty Lord and perfect Buddhas passed away." And Sakadevaraja uttered this verse, "Impermanent are all compounded things, prone to rise and fall. Having risen, they are destroyed. Their passing truest bliss." This one we just chanted, I think, today. Anicca vata sankara upada vaya dhammino upajitawa nirujanti te sang upasamo sukho. And the Venerable Anuruddha uttered this verse, "No breathing in and out, just with steadfast heart. The sage who is free from lust has passed away to peace. With mind unshaken, he endured all pains. By Nibbana, the illumined mind is freed." And the Venerable Ananda uttered this verse, "Terrible was the quaking, men's hair stood on end, when the all-accomplished Buddha passed away." I'll stop here for a moment. So you see, the Buddha went through the various jhanas, and to attain the final Nibbana, he entered Parinibbana or final Nibbana from the fourth, after leaving the fourth jhana. So this is, you notice, after leaving the fourth jhana. Why the fourth jhana? I think because the fourth jhana is an extremely, the Buddha says, imperturbable state, a very peaceful and unshakable state, so that when the Buddha comes out of it, he's still in that state. But he has to come out of it to enter Nibbana, because he has to make that volition to enter Nibbana. So if a person has not attained the fourth jhana, if you are not be able to enter the fourth jhana easily and at will, I think it will be very difficult to enter, to pass away into Nibbana like the Buddha. And those monks who had not yet overcome their passions wept and tore their hair, raising their arms, throwing themselves down and twisting and turning, crying, "All too soon the Blessed Lord has passed away. All too soon the welfarer has passed away. All too soon the eye of the world has disappeared." But those monks who were free from craving endured mindfully and clearly aware, saying, "All compounded things are impermanent. What is the use of this?" Then the Venerable Anuruddha said, "Friends, enough of your weeping and wailing. Has not the Lord already told you that all things that are pleasant and delightful are changeable, subject to separation and to becoming other? So why all this, friends? Whatever is born, become compounded, is subject to decay. It cannot be that it does not decay. The Devas' friends are grumbling." And they asked, "Venerable Anuruddha, what kind of Devas are you aware of?" And he said, "Friend Ananda, there are sky Devas whose minds are earthbound. They are weeping and tearing their hair. And there are earth Devas whose minds are earthbound. They do likewise. But those Devas who are free from craving endure patiently, saying, 'All compounded things are impermanent. What is the use of this?'" Then the Venerable Anuruddha and the Venerable Ananda spent the rest of the night in conversation on Dhamma. And the Venerable Anuruddha said, "Now go, friend Ananda, to Kusinara and announce to the Malas, 'Vasetas, the Lord has passed away. Now is the time to do as you think fit.'" "Yes, Bhante," said Ananda. And having dressed in the morning and taken his robe and bowl, he went with a companion to Kusinara. At that time, the Malas of Kusinara were assembled in their meeting hall on some business, and the Venerable Ananda came to them and delivered the Venerable Anuruddha's message. And when they heard the Venerable Ananda's words, the Malas were struck with anguish and sorrow. Their minds were overcome with grief, so that they were all tearing their hair, etc. Then the Malas ordered their men to bring perfume and reeds and gather all the musicians together. And with the perfumes and reeds and all the musicians, and with the 500 sets of garments, they went to the Sal Grove where the Lord's Buddha was lying. And there they honored, paid respects, worshipped and adored the Lord's body with dance and song and music, with garlands and scents, making awnings and circular tents in order to spend the day there. And they thought, "It is too late to cremate the Lord's body today. We shall do so tomorrow." And so, paying homage in the same way, they waited for a second, third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth day. And on the seventh day, the Malas of Kusinara thought, "We have paid sufficient honor with song and dance, etc., to the Lord's body. Now we shall burn his body after carrying him out by the south gate." Then 8 Mala chiefs, having washed their heads and put on new clothes, declared, "Now we will lift up the Lord's body," but found they were unable to do so. So they went to the Venerable Anuruddha and told him what had happened. "Why can't we lift up the Lord's body?" And Venerable Anuruddha said, "Vasetas, your intention is one thing, but the intention of the Devas is another." And they asked, "Bhante, what is the intention of the Devas?" And Venerable Anuruddha said, Vasetas, your intention is, having paid homage to the Lord's body with dance and song, etc., to burn his body after carrying him out by the south gate. But the Deva's intention is, having paid homage to the Lord's body with heavenly dance and song, etc., to carry him to the north of the city, bring him in through the north gate, and bear him through the middle of the city, and out through the eastern gate to the Mala shrine of Makutta Bandhana, and there to burn the body. And they said, Bhante, if that is the Deva's intention, so be it. At that time, even the sewers and rubbish heaps of Kusinara were covered knee-high with coral tree flowers, and the Devas as well as the Malas of Kusinara honored the Lord's body with divine and human dancing, song, etc. And they carried the body to the north of the city, brought it in through the north gate, through the middle of the city, and out through the eastern gate to the Mala shrine of Makutta. Here they set the body down. Stop here for a moment. You notice here, in India, this is the tradition. When somebody dies, they show respect by singing and dancing and all that, and bringing garlands and scents to celebrate. So many years ago, when I went to India, to the holy places for the one and only time, we passed a funeral procession on the road, and we found that people were singing and dancing. So we inquired of the bus driver, what is happening, and he said somebody passed away, and we found it a bit strange. In Malaysia, when somebody passes away, they'll be crying and weeping and all that. But there they are singing and dancing and so happy. So, totally different. Then they asked the Venerable Ananda, Lord, how should we deal with the body of the Tathagata? And he replied, Vasetas, you should deal with the Tathagata's body as you would that of a wheel-turning monarch. And they asked, and how do we deal with that, Bhante? And he said, Vasetas, the remains are wrapped in a new linen cloth. This they wrap in teased cotton wool, etc., etc. And having made a funeral pyre of all manner of perfumes, they create the king's body and they raise a stupa at the crossroads. Then the Malas ordered their men to bring the teased cotton wool, and they dealt with the Tathagata's body accordingly. Stop here for a moment. This teased means separated into separate fibers. So the cotton separated into fibers. Now just then the Venerable Kassapa the Great, Mahakassapa, was travelling along the main road from Pava to Kusinara with a large company of about 500 monks. And leaving the road, the Venerable Mahakassapa sat down under a tree. And a certain Ajivaka chanced to be coming along the main road towards Pava, and he had picked a coral tree flower in Kusinara. The Venerable Kassapa saw him coming from afar and said to him, Friend, do you know our teacher? And he said, Yes, friend, I do. The ascetic Gotama passed away a week ago. I picked this coral tree flower there. And those monks who had not yet overcome their passions wept and tore their hair, etc. But those monks who were free from craving endured mindfully and clearly aware, saying all compounded things are impermanent. What is the use of this? And sitting in the group was one Subhadda, who had gone forth late in life, and he said to those monks, Enough, friends, do not weep and wail. We are well rid of the great ascetic. We were always bothered by his saying, It is fitting for you to do this. It is not fitting for you to do that. Now we can do what we like, and not do what we don't like. But the Venerable Mahakassapa said to the monks, Friends, enough of your weeping and wailing. Has not the Lord already told you that all things that are pleasant and delightful are changeable, subject to separation and becoming other, or becoming otherwise? So why all these, friends? Whatever is born, become, compounded, is subject to decay. It cannot be that it does not decay. Stop here for a moment. So you see, when the monks heard that the Buddha passed away, most of them were upset. But there was this Subhadda who had gone forth when he was old, And he was very happy. I said, now the great ascetic is gone, then we can do as we like. It's something you notice, people when they renounce late in life, it's very hard to change their habits. Like in Thailand, if the monastery, they have a lot of people wanting to renounce, then they prefer young people. They don't like old people to renounce because it's harder to change their ways. Meanwhile, 4 Mala chiefs, having washed their heads and put on new clothes, said, "We will light the Lord's funeral pyre." But they were unable to do so. They went to Venerable Anuruddha and asked him why this was. And he said, "Vasetas, your intention is one thing, but that of the Devas is another." And they said, "Well, Lord, what is the intention of the Devas?" And he said, "Vasetas, the Devas' intention is this. The Venerable Kassapa or Mahakassapa is coming along the main road from Pava to Kusinara with a large company of 500 monks. The Lord's funeral pyre will not be lit until the Venerable Mahakassapa has paid homage with his head to the Lord's feet." And they said, "Bhante, if that is the Deva's intention, so be it." Then the Venerable Mahakassapa went to the Mala's shrine at Makuta Bandhana to the Lord's funeral pyre, and covering one shoulder with his robe, joined his hands in salutation, circumambulated the pyre 3 times, and uncovering the Lord's feet, paid homage with his head to them. And the 500 monks did likewise. And when this was done, the Lord's funeral pyre ignited of itself. Stop it for a moment. So you see here, the Devas, even though they are unseen by human beings, they influence our life. So it is good to be respectful of the Devas around. The Buddha said, wherever we stay, there are earth Devas, there are tree Devas and all that. So we have to be respectful to them. And if we come to a new place, it's good to burn incense and all that to show our respect and appreciation of them. And then they will become our protectors. They'll take care of us. And when the Lord's body was burned, what had been skin, underskin, flesh, sinew or joint fluid, all that vanished, and not even ashes or dust remains. Only the bones remain. Just as when butter or oil is burned, no ashes or dust remain, so it was with the Lord's body. Only the bones were left. And all the 500 garments, even the innermost and the outermost cloth, were burnt up. And when the Lord's body was burnt up, a shower of water from the sky and another which burst forth from the sal trees extinguished the funeral pyre. And the Malas of Kusinara poured perfume water over it for the same purpose. Then the Malas honored the relics for a week in the assembly hall, having made a lattice work of spears and an encircling wall of bows, with dancing, singing, garlands and music. And King Ajatasattu, Vadehi Putta of Magadha, heard that the Lord had passed away at Kusinara, and he sent a message to the Malas of Kusinara. The Lord was a Khattiya, and I am a Khattiya, am worthy to receive a share of the Lord's remains. I will make a great stupa for them. The Lichavis of Vesali heard, and they sent a message. The Lord was a Khattiya, and we are Khattiyas. We are worthy to receive a share of the Lord's remains, and we will make a great stupa for them. The Sakyas of Kapilavatu heard, and they sent a message. The Lord was the chief of our clan. Here they must have altered this a bit because the Buddha was not the chief of their clan. We are worthy to receive a share of the Lord's remains, and we will make a great stupa for them. The Bulayas of Alakappa and the Koliyas of Ramagama replied similarly. The Brahmin of Vetadipa heard, and he sent a message. The Lord was a Khattiya, and I am a Brahmin. And he also requested a share. And the Malas of Pava sent a message. The Lord was a Khattiya. We are Khattiya. We are worthy to receive a share of the Lord's remains, and we will make a great stupa for them. On hearing all this, the Malas of Kusinara addressed the crowd, saying, "The Lord passed away in our parish. We will not give away any share of the Lord's remains." At this, the Brahmin Dona addressed the crowd in this verse, "Listen, lords, to my proposal. Forbearance is the Buddha's teaching. It is not right that strife should come from sharing out the best of men's remains. Let's all be joined in harmony and peace, in friendship, sharing out portions, aid. Let stupas far and wide be put up, that all may see and gain in faith." Well then, Brahmin, you divide up the remains of the Lord in the best and fairest way. "Very good, friend," said Dona, and he made a good and fair division into 8 portions, and then said to the assembly, "Gentlemen, please give me the urn, and I will erect a great stupa for it." So they gave Dona the urn. Now the Mauryas of Pipalavana heard of the Lord's passing, and they sent a message. "The Lord was a Khattiya, and we are Khattiyas. We are worthy to receive a portion of the Lord's remains, and we will make a great stupa for them." And they answered, "There is not a portion of the Lord's remains left. They have all been divided up, so you must take the embers." And so they took the embers. Then King Ajatasattu of Magadha built a great stupa for the Lord's relics at Rajagaha. The Lichavis of Vesali built one at Vesali. The Sakyans of Kapilavatu built one at Kapilavatu. The Bulayas of Alakappa built one at Alakappa. The Kolyas of Ramagama built one at Ramagama. The Brahmin of Vetadipa built one at Vetadipa. The Malas of Pava built one at Pava. The Malas of Kusinara built a great stupa for the Lord's relics at Kusinara. The Brahmin Dona built a great stupa for the urn, and the Mauryas of Pipalavana built a great stupa for the embers at Pipalavana. Thus 8 stupas were built for the relics, a 9th for the urn, and a 10th for the embers. That is how it was in the old days. 8 portions of relics there were of him, the all-seeing one. Of these, 7 remained in Jambudipa with honor. The 8 in Ramagamas kept by Naga kings. 1 tooth the 30 gods have kept. Kalinga's kings have 1, the Nagas 2. They shed their glory over the fruitful earth. Thus the seers honored by the honored. Gods and Nagas, kings, the noblest men, clasped their hands in homage, for hard it is to find another such for countless aeons. That's the end of the sutta. When the various kings and the various clans asked for a share of the relics, and the Malas at first refused, then this Brahmin Dona, he told them, "Forbearance is the Buddha's teaching. It is not right that strife should come from sharing out the best of men's remains." So he was afraid, because these powerful kings, they demanded a share of the relics. If they were not given a share of the relics, probably they'll march with their army into this Kusinara and get their share. So they'll be fighting. So this Brahmin, he foresaw all this. So he said, the Buddha said to practice forbearance. So give everyone a share. And so the Buddha's remains will go to many places, and people will erect stupas in many places for all to have more faith. So that's a good advice which they took. So that's the end of this sutta. It's the longest sutta in the Nikayas. We have managed to finish it in how many nights? 3 nights. Very good. Anything to discuss?
Because of the Buddha's remains, is any of these still remaining?
Nowadays, there's a lot of claims that a lot of people go around exhibiting what they call relics, and they claim Buddha's relics and the Arahant's relics and all that, but it's very hard to believe. The real relics, I think somebody has told me he has seen in the museum at New Delhi, and they were excavated by geologists, and It's kept in the museum, and he has seen, and those are bone relics, really bones. But this Chinese has got this funny concept. The relics means something very beautiful and very small and colored and all this. That's not true. Relics actually, in the Buddha's teachings, the Pali word is sarira. And sarira means the bone relics. After cremation, what remains are called the relics. Quat phui in Cantonese, kut hu in Hokkien.
So these 8 stupas that were built,
it's buried all over the place. So it's after 2,500 years, you need a deva to find it. But many years ago, they did dig and found like Sariputta and Mahamoggallana's relics. India is one country, because Buddhism was flourished one time in India. So there are many Buddhist temples buried underground. Over time, it's covered already because with the decay of Buddhism and Buddhism died out. So those Buddhist temples were abandoned. Some of them were taken over by Hindus, but many were abandoned. So over time, being neglected, they fell down and broke up and slowly covered over. So there are certain states, like for example, there's a state in India called Bihar. This word Bihar comes from the word Bihara. Bihara is the same as Vihara. So it's called Bihar because there are thousands and thousands of viharas in that state. But all of them are buried. And now India is mostly a Hindu country. And so they don't make the effort to dig up. And not only Bihar, even like Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all these places, even probably Iran, you have Buddha statues and temples buried underground. But now many of them are Muslim countries, so they don't want to dig up all this. Relics means the remains after cremation. So everybody after cremation, those are called relics. But as mentioned in this sutta, only 4 persons are worthy of the relics worthy of veneration: Sammasambuddha, Pacceka Buddha, Arya, and Universal Monarch. So like a lot of Buddhists in Malaysia, after their mother or father pass away, and after cremation, they keep the relics in the temple to pray. Actually, not necessary. Just dump it into the sea or into the river. After all, the person has passed on. He's not going to stay in the bones, the relics. In Buddhist countries like Thailand, after somebody has passed away and they cremate, out of attachment, they still keep the relics, and they put, for example, a farmer in his land, there'll be small stupas where their family remains are kept. So each person has passed away, they will have one stupa. I'm not sure the stupa might be 2 feet high like that, 2 or 3 feet high.
There's no other places, and yet we find that in these countries, they make such a big fuss over the ethics. This is for ceremony, this is the place in Japan where they use a focal point for education and good help.
Yeah, all that is useless. Some monks, they give some relics and they claim that it's the Buddha's relics. How can there be so many of the Buddha's relics around? See, the light is on. You wait a while. After switching on, you have to wait a while.
This is so cold relics. I don't attend, but I don't know if it is anything. If I don't want to keep them now, what to do?
What to do with them? You can give to some temple which wants. Otherwise give to some devotees who want. There will be some devotees who want. Okay, shall we end here?